So, question for you. How many hours does it take to record this one video of talking and failing completely? If you guessed 1 hour, you'd be wrong. If you guessed 2, you'd be wrong. If you guessed 3, you would still be wrong. I've spent over 3 hours basically non-stop talking, so I'm surprised I've still got a voice at this point, although it's getting a little bit husky. Talking about the Librarian console because well, to be honest, I don't really talk about the Librarian console because the only points I want to make on it, you guys have made better than I ever could. Because I love reading your comments, and I've read so many of them online today. I read them on Facebook, I read them on Reddit, I read them on YouTube. And almost all the comments boil into one of 3, maybe 4 categories. So let's go with the weakest category, the sort of 4th category. It doesn't look like a librarian, right? And you know what? They're right. No psychic hood, no lightning bolts or anything like that on the axe. It doesn't even have a librarius symbol anywhere on the body. Not on the belt buckle, not on the shoulder pad, head, nothing. When, you go over to 40k, even the Phobos armored librarian has a necklace with the librarius symbol. Severin Loth has it on his shoulder. I've spoken about it so much today, and I actually have so many tabs of different miniatures open. Tyler Rubio in his relatively unadorned armor has librarius symbol on the chest and kneecap, right? Doesn't have any of that, and he's got no psychic hood. So I agree with all of you, right? Yes, he does not look like a librarian. Another comment. Why is he in Mark 6? Again, I've spoken at length about my dislike of the overuse of Mark 6 in this edition. I don't care that it's what the company has chosen to push the game. What the company wants, I don't give a shit about, right? Because the customer-company relationship is not what suits the company best, it's what suits me the best, right? They have to earn my money, keep me happy. So I don't care that they want to use Mark 6. I don't care they want to show off Sons of Horus and Imperial Fists. Don't care, right? So I agree with all of you completely. Not going to retread that ground. Another thing that all of you said, right? Well, that many of you said was, why is he resin? Because, well, for a start, harder to convert, but also it's a pretty fair point. When they can shit out 400 Primaris lieutenants who are never going to sell in, different types of plastics, surely, right, they can turn around with this guy, put him in plastic. I mean, they even did all these, like, Legion-specific consoles like Dominion Zephon, who's no one's favourite character, in plastic. And caveat, someone likes him, I don't care, right? Exceptions do not make rules. When I say it's no one's favourite character, just in general, if you took 99 people off the street and said, is he your favourite character? They're probably not going to say he is, right? It's don't mean 100% of people ever hate him, but, the fact that I have to make these little points just annoys. So I agree with all of those critiques of this model. Then the 4th comment basically boils down to some variant of, thank you for releasing this Model Games Workshop. Despite the other 3 criticisms, I will suck your dick and swallow the gravy. That's really what it boils down to, because there are 2 halves to this community. My half of the community says, we are the customer, and the relationship between us and the company is essentially one of, I ask for a product. If you want my money, you make the product. If you don't want my money, then don't make the product. The other half of the community says, no matter what Games Workshop releases, I will be happy. Why is that? Well, their personal happiness is directly tied to the game. They have made it a cornerstone of their personality, for better or worse, right? And because of that, any attack, no matter how small, on the game is an attack on their happiness. And an attack on their happiness is a personal attack on them. So you will never, ever, ever get them to rationally come around to the the truth. And the truth is, this miniature sucks and the company is not doing what the community wants. Now, there are people who will argue, you don't speak for the whole community, Macca. I don't speak for the whole community in this regard because so much of the community is brainwashed into just acceptance. No matter what Games Workshop releases, they'll be happy. And this is the deal, therefore, I want to make with that half of the community. I do not want to take your happiness away. When I attack these models, I'm not attacking you and the things you like. What I am trying to do is trying to get you more things. And that should make you even happier, okay? But when you fight against me and you condone this behavior, you are actually fighting against your own happiness with your childish naivety of thinking that just accepting this is a good thing and is going to encourage good behavior on behalf of the company. Because if you get your way, I never see assault marines in my lifetime. There are kids who weren't even born when the heresy wasn't a game system, right? Or when the heresy, first became a game system, right? In 2012, there were kids who weren't born. Those kids are now 10, 11-year-olds, able to actually comprehend and play the game. And we still don't have plastic assault marines. That, to me, is a critical failing of the release schedule of the company. I would fire the person who came up with the release schedule. And if you think that's harsh, and I don't know what I'm talking about, I managed a plastic injection molding company. I bring this point up repeatedly because you've got to understand this is not just some guy blowing steam on the internet who goes, oh, I'm not happy with the releases. No. I made these decisions for a living, okay? And it was a stressful job. It's part of why I got out of that job. And I would be firing this person because they ballsed it up, right? So if you get your way, we continue with the status quo. Just underwhelming releases, lots of resin releases, and hey, you know what? At least you'll have a lot of tanks to take to the grave. If I get my way, you get all of that and more. So why do you fight me? Why do you rally against me? Why is your desire to accept it so strong? Okay, hypothetical person that I'm arguing with. Why is your desire to just accept such mediocrity where you can't even tell that the model you're looking at is a librarian? Like, if I got rid of the spooky shit on his hand, right, and I changed the helmet out, it's not even that much of a librarian's helmet. If I changed his helmet out, got rid of the spooky stuff on his hand, you would not pick this out of as a librarian, okay? Because the most key defining attributes of this model should be a psychic hood. And on top of the psychic hood, it should have a librarian symbol. The skull with the horns. Ever since the inception of the Librarius in the middle of the Great Crusade, when the Thousand Sons, the Blood Angels, and the White Scars sat down and created the Librarius, the skull with horns was their symbol. They couldn't even be stuffed to do that. And if you want to go down a law route, right, this is how bad things have gotten to the company. The law is such an impediment to releasing miniatures that the artists and the company just makes whatever they feel like and they don't give a fuck. Because why is this an Imperial Fist? Now, some of you are going to go, who cares if it's an Imperial Fist? Well, if you're a fan of the law, and again, if you're not, it doesn't matter to you, ignore the argument. But if you are a fan of the law, the Imperial Fist didn't have any librarians in the Horus Heresy. Do you know why? Because they were told by Dawn to basically lock themselves in a specific chamber aboard the Phalanx and to not get involved in the heresy. And they took that order so seriously that even when Garrow, under orders from Melchador the Sigillite himself, broke into the Phalanx and asked them to join forces in the Horus Heresy, they declined and said, no, Dawn has told us to stay here, and because we're Imperial Fists, and we follow our orders exactly and do not question them, we are going to follow his orders and not question them. We are staying here aboard the Phalanx. So therefore, why is he yellow? Well, he's a yellow Imperial Fist because the company wants to push Siege of Cathonia, a book which nobody asked for. And they're trying to sell us this book by hinting at things like Shattered Legions and Zone Mortalis rules and, frankly, things that should have been in the base book. Because all they have to show for this game, for generic units after 1 year, is this, an Esoterrorist, some Despoiler upgrades, and a couple of Assassins. That is not an awful lot for a year of hobby. And you go, oh, well, what about all the tanks? It's 3 hulls. It's a Land Raider hull, which has an extension kit to make Spartans, Typhons, and Cerberus. There's a Sicaran hull, which makes the Sicaran battle tank. It makes the Venator, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of others down the line. And they make a Rhino hull, which does Predators and Vindicators and Whirlwinds. Right? And they just made a couple of extra parts in dies. But they spent resources making a Cerberus die when they could have made this miniature in plastic. They spent resources making this miniature in resin when they could have made a multi-pose plastic Praetor kit in something that's, you know what, fuck it, even if it's not in Mark II, even if it was in Mark VI, would have been better. You know, how hard would it be to put a Psychic Hood torso, a blank torso, a couple of different arms, and a couple of different helmets into a box? Wouldn't have been hard at all, just a multi-pose character. But they didn't want to do it. They want to do the bare minimum. And you, hypothetical person, who probably switched off the video, 11 minutes in, 12 minutes ago, and literally clicked on the video to leave hate for me, and then clicked off the video after your dislike, you accept this, and you sit here going, you should just be happy they had Heresy Thursdays, no matter what was shown in them, even if nothing was shown in them, just be happy they had a Heresy Thursday. It's the healthiest the Heresy's ever been, because there are more kits in plastic than there was yesterday. There was a time, this time was 2012 through about 2016, where every single week there was a Heresy release, sometimes multiples. And if you do not believe me, think of it this way. The only Heresy models that existed when the game was launched was Cataphracti and different marks of power armor. And since then, every single Legion upgrade, Legion special unit, Legion Dreadnought, Legion Primarch, Legion upgrade set, shoulder pads, torsos, helmets, bolt guns, bolt pistols, despoilers, assault marines, breaches, recon marines, all of that, destroyers, all the Sicaran variants, the Spartan, the Typhon, the Fellblade, all of that, right? Dozens and dozens of miniatures. Like, even if it was one a week that dropped, just think about that. Every Legion has their own Primarch, their own Dreadnought, and 2 specialist units, right? And there's 18 Legions. What's, 4 by 18? Why, it's the same as 8 by 9, so it'll be 72. That's 72 weeks worth of content right there alone for the Horus Heresy game system. And that's not including your Storm Eagles, your Thunderhawk replacement, your Storm Eagle, your Fire Raptor, your Mastodon, right? The Solar Auxilia range, all the different Imperial Knight releases. Like, there is so much stuff. The Mechanicum range. We were getting more releases years ago than we get now. So why are you trying to tell me that the Heresy is in a better place? Hypothetical straw man that I'm arguing with. It's not. It's actually in a bad place. And it's getting worse because now, with 10th edition around the corner, do you really think they're going to be putting the effort into the Horus Heresy? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, Valrak is right again and Epic is coming, and they're now sinking resources into that shit, into Warhammer the Old World, whatever it might be, and, well, finite resources, only so many injection molding machines, so many designers, so many painters, the Heresy is being put on the back burner again. Maybe it's not as bad a back burner as there was between Heresy 2.0 and Book 9. It was a pretty dark period. But nonetheless, it's a back burner. And people are adamant. They want plastic miniatures for this game system. And they don't want to be waiting years for it. And although there is a crowd out there, this crowd that insists on arguing with me, like I said, if you let me have my way, you win. If you are happy with things the way they are, you also win. So you cannot lose. So stop fucking arguing with me. Help me. Sincerely. I I'm out there. I read your comments and absorb what you have to say as a community. I saw you all commenting how you're disappointed in the Mark 6 or the fact that it's resin or how it doesn't look like a librarian, right? I saw your comments. Does Games Workshop respond to you in the way I do now? No, because they don't care. You are asking them as a customer, I want the product to be this. And they are saying, fuck off, you get what we want you to have. That is not a healthy customer company relationship. So, as much props as I can give the company for releasing something that's at least not a tank and is at least usable by so many legions, you're still missing demons, you're still missing militia, you're still getting miniatures in resin that should be in plastic, you're still getting this monopose shit that's a pain in the ass to convert, even for seasoned gamers, because look, he's got leather gloves, so now you need to find leather gloves if you want to give him a bolt pistol, instead of a fucking hand telling you to stop at the traffic lights. It's things like this that frustrate. And they want to take something that works, like the Librarian, his psychic hood, and they want to reimagine it in new ways by giving him the big Chungus collar. What's the big Chungus collar? Well, this guy, the Sons of Horus character on the right here, that's Big Chungus. See how he's got that distinctive collar? Yeah. And they also want to do this infuriating thing of treating all the characters like it's Warcraft, and all your heroes are bigger than the rest of your army. Like, Big Chungus there is the size of a Terminator, and he's in power armor. And they insist on going down this route. And I'm sitting here going, why are you doing all these things? I think it's a pretty fair argument. And yet, there are so many members in the community who want to sit here and go, oh, Macca, you're never happy. Nothing's ever good on Heresy Thursdays. I'm trying to make things better for you. So please, sincerely, go fuck yourself.